Hello Dragon Wisps, welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be a bit shorter. I know I've had longer videos lately with the role plays and everything coming out. I just wanted to talk about upcoming stuff for the channel, particularly for this one. So as many of you know, I'm about 3/4 maybe through New Moon in the Twilight series, and I'm thinking of putting Twilight either on the back burner or just stopping altogether for now. I don't know why I'm doing stuff with my eyebrows right now. Putting it on the back burner would also be stopping it for now, but anyway, okay. I'm debating putting it on hiatus. There we go. Just because, I'm 3/4 of the way through New Moon. It's been a bit since I've even read any of it, which I do apologize for. It's just been mostly an issue of time and recording space, but things might be changing up in the near future for that, but I digress, which I do say a lot. Anyway, so I'm going to be starting reading a couple of classic books that you may know, you may not know. I know more recently they've grown in popularity due to a certain musical album series, I guess, that came out in the last couple years or so. I'm talking of Epic the Musical, which is based off the stories, the Iliad and Odyssey by Homer, which is the Trojan War as well as the journey home for Odysseus. I've been reading a lot of the Iliad lately, so I wanted to do that one on the channel as well as Odyssey, just because I do love the story of it all. With or without the god involvement, it's fantastic. Just the detail and everything, and it just showcases intelligence in a time when intelligence itself wasn't really super important. What was important at the time was your ability in battle and everything. So it wasn't about tactics or anything. It was about how long you could hold off against the other people. And I feel like that helps. That's a fantastic story in general, just because Odysseus is both. He's a warrior, but he's intelligent. He's a leader. He's, in good graces with the gods at the beginning. Stuff like that. And, he can think on his feet while fighting on the front lines. His men respect him, as they should. He's their king. But yeah, so I want to read these for you guys on the channel. Problem is, translation of them is kind of wonky, so I'm gonna have to make sure while I'm reading it that I'm changing certain things like names, because the majority of the translations for Iliad and Odyssey were they're mostly translated by people who do Latin, which is more Roman than Greek, whereas Greek stories, and it is things like, for example, Odysseus's name in the translation is Ulysses, which is the Roman name of him. And I've looked into this. Every time I come across a name that doesn't sound right to me, I look it up. For example, Athena, the goddess of war, wisdom, tactics, things like that. The one that is closest to Odysseus, or Ulysses, in the translation, her name is Minerva, or more specifically, Pallas Minerva. I think that's something to do with the way the Romans organized the pantheon, but I'm not sure. But instead of saying Pallas Minerva, I'm going to say Athena. Instead of saying Ulysses, I will say Odysseus. You know, I'm going to try and use the Greek names as much as possible. There will likely be times where I mess that up, but I digress. Bear with me, whatnot. So, yeah, that's not going to be starting up right away, but for sure keep an eye on the channel if you're interested in these stories. I need to look into if there's a third book in the middle, because it doesn't make sense. The Iliad ends at the end of the Trojan War, and then Odyssey starts 7 years later, or more than 7 years later, realistically, closer to 10 years later. So, like, there's a huge chunk of story missing. I don't know if it's just the translation I've got, like the book I've got, or what, but I'm going to figure it out. Anyway, that's enough of that ramble about Iliad and Odyssey. So I'd like to thank you guys for joining me for this just rant at this point, and I hope to see you next time. Until then, that's not the right channel. That wasn't the right channel at all. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Right about now, you'll be getting your usual subscribe button, latest video on the channel, video recommended for you by YouTube, and then over here will be just a playlist. I am not sure what. Maybe I'll put up the Iliad and Odyssey videos once I get them started, but for now, who knows. Anyway, thank you for joining me, and as always, have a peaceful day. Bye.